All right. Good morning, everybody. I got to pay close attention when I'm doing it on this platform because it automatically flips me over into into live. It's not a button press on this one. So, for those of you joining us this morning, I'm doing it in this format with the headset instead of the usual microphone because we're still waiting on the delivery of the new microphone mount, and so I'm going to really try to stick to the whole Mellow Monday vibe this morning. One of our habitual viewers suggested that I talk about uh, the the dangers of using National Guard as expeditionary forces and how that harms the active duty military missions. And the other one he suggested was talking about certain term limit issues. And I said, Waller, I promised everybody last week that I wasn't going to shout, that I was going to be careful about getting too excited and try not to blow out my headphone users while I'm still using this emergency backup microphone until we get the new mount in place. Okay. So, good morning, everybody. It's Labor Day. I hope you all have a good hot cup of coffee. And I've got two things I want to talk about this morning. Um, One of them is more housekeeping than news stuff. I'm going to pull up the Brushfire Minds profile on El Twittero, and boom, we'll go down here, and I'll share this window. There we go. Yes. So, over the weekend, had a pretty good weekend on X. Now, we don't have a huge X account, 520 some followers, but here's the thing: a little over 200 of those happened this weekend. And to those of you who just started following the show on X, I appreciate you. I really do. And uh, what happened was there's this thing going on X on an effort to build conservative accounts with the hashtag uh, IFBAP. I follow back all Patriots. And I've been playing with that a little bit. Now, for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who just know a little bit, back in the day there was, and it still goes on some now, but it's not illegal. It's against terms of service on YouTube, and it happens on any video sharing platform, but especially on YouTube, there would be these games where people would do sub for sub. So hey, come subscribe to my channel, and I'll subscribe to your channel. And in theory, it was supposed to be a fast way to build subscribership on YouTube and approach monetization. But what really happened with sub for sub is you'd go subscribe to somebody's channel, they'd subscribe to your channel, and then neither of you would ever watch either one of the other one's stuff, right? I'm doing conservative political politics, and I go subscribe to, I don't know, what's something that I'm not interested in that's not so offensive I'd never look at it. Uh, raising rats. No, actually I think anyway. It'd be one channel. It'd be two completely unrelated channels would subscribe to each other and then never watch each other's content. If you've got subscribers who aren't watching your content, um, then they're not helping to move the needle. They're not helping to bolster your numbers. That's just not how it works. Now, the follow back scheme on X is a little different. Now, there's still some of that, but with that specific hashtag IFBAP, I follow back all Patriots. What's happening is instead of people who are doing content creation just subscribing to one another to create this kind of illusory smokescreen of a subscriber base, what's happening is you're actually following people who have your specific interests in common. And, you know, you're not sitting down to watch a video, right? You're not, when you get on and you're looking at X or whatever, for each one of those people you follow, you're not committing yourself to a 3, 4, 5 minute, or in the case of a show like this, half an hour to an hour or more sometimes, commitment to consume that content. So there's actually room there for you to be actively engaged with all those people. And that doesn't even mean that you're actively reading their posts and sharing their posts or replying to their posts, although you should to the greatest extent you can. But you're engaged together. Say I make a post and a dozen of my followers read it, reply, repost it, and then each one of them has just 2 or 3 followers that just hit the like button. They don't even share it or comment on it. That's still engagement. You're still connecting with each other, right? Because all of those people down that chain, I'm going to end up personally engaging with some number of them periodically throughout the day. And that's a much more powerful and legitimate application than the old sub for sub scheme. When I first saw the IFBAP hashtag, I was a little skeptical because of my previous understanding with sub for sub. Now, I never got mixed up in the sub for sub scam, largely because I came to YouTube late enough that it was already kind of on the back burner. The sub for sub guys were already pretty much out of the game. But yeah, so the channel grew by a couple of hundred followers this weekend, and that's a good thing. That's awesome. And to those of you guys who just started following us and are seeing this now or are catching the replay later, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really do appreciate the hell out of having y'all watch the show. Now, normally on the day-to-day, what we do, and I'll do a little bit of this for the new guys. What we do is political analysis, news analysis, commentary. My background is MI, so I have a little bit more experience and actual training on conducting that kind of analysis, on engaging with all source intelligence sources and generating an actionable intelligence picture that can be delivered to a kinetic client. Uh, my background has in my background, I was more often the kinetic client than the product distributor, but that's that's a lot of words that only mean something useful to a handful of you, and I won't say more about it than that. Uh, in yeah, on that particular topic, I need to obscure some elements of the NDA through careful, carefully vague jargon. Yes. So, because it's Mellow Monday, and on a normal day, we're going to talk about politics. I might get a little animated. You might even hear the F word slip out of my face hole a few times. Totally normal. Last week we had a bit of a technical issue where this microphone is still in great shape, but the mounting bracket is broken, and I'm waiting for the new one to be delivered. It should be here no later than this Friday. So this week I'm going to be doing it with this headset, and I have it on good authority that if I get too animated and entertaining, excited, if you will, when I'm on this microphone, that's real hard on the headphone users. So I will try to be very careful. Now, keeping that in mind, and that we're generally a political show, I've got us a topic that does step into some politics, but I will attempt to not get too active. Um, we're going to talk a little bit about I need to see. That's why I don't like doing it because it makes it hard to manage the screen shares. And I want to be able to share this screen with you. First ever compact nuclear reactor can run for 8 years without a drop of water. Just saw this article this morning, and it's fascinating. Um, I'm actually a big fan of nuclear, and I know there are reasonable concerns with nuclear waste, but here's the thing: before I dig into this too deep, uh, when we're talking nuclear waste, etc., and the whole energy sector generally, we are way behind on developing our energy sector. Whenever you hear one of these nut jobs go on and on and on about climate change, one of these climate alarmists, especially if they're politically left leaning climate alarmists, that oh, the world's going to end in 12 years. Greta, we're there, and turns out we're still here. It wasn't even all that much hotter this summer. Was it even all that much hotter this? No, no. So keeping that in mind, the fact is that the involvement of politicians and political activists in the energy sector has been a major setback for the development of clean energy. One of the problems, Uncle Steve has a Tesla, loves his Tesla, and I don't blame him. Everything I've heard about the Teslas, they're great cars, but as a real alternative to a traditional gas powered vehicle, they're not yet a reasonable alternative. They're just not. They're not a legitimate alternative. The technology just isn't there yet. The batteries are too heavy, and the lifespan of those batteries is not sufficient, especially against the cost of replacing the batteries, etc. One of the big problems with the level of our current battery technology is that they're so heavy, right? In a traditional gas powered vehicle, I'm a big old boy. I'm a big old boy. Y'all, some of y'all who know me know that quite recently, just about 2 months ago, I got sick. I was in the hospital and I lost about 60 pounds being sick in the hospital. Uh, and it still reduces the fuel economy of my vehicle by 10% when I put my big ass in it. I'm a big boy. So you start talking about a set of batteries going into your car that weighs twice as much as I do. And that's before you put my big ass in the driver's seat. So one of the big problems because of the battery technology with electric cars is um, the massive loss of energy expenditure efficiency that happens there. And of course, those batteries are not charged in a vacuum. You don't just magic some electricity out of the air to charge those batteries. No, because, well, we weren't smart enough to listen to Tesla. Actual Tesla, death ray magic teleporting Tesla. Uh, Liberty Girl says, "Sorry to hear that you were so sick." By the way, I heard I saw that you called, and I listened to your voicemail yesterday. Sorry I didn't get a chance to call you back. I will give you a call this morning after the show if you're going to be free for a minute, Liberty Girl. Uh, but it was good to hear from you. Damn, I lost my train of thought. Batteries. Okay, batteries are a problem. A similar problem, a similar problem exists with the implementation of solar as a major alternative. Right now, I've got my big old chunk of land out here, and one of the things that I want to do out here is I want to put solar. I would like to have solar panels out here. I I'm not looking to spend quite the investment on that that would be required to go completely off grid in the near term. But what I would like to get my solar in order so that it in the worst case scenario, the whole grid collapses, I could still run my well pump, right? If if I can keep my freezer and my well pump running, and bring on the zombie apocalypse because it just, I mean, I might have to kill three of them, to stay safe locally. I mean, let's not get it twisted. If there is a zombie apocalypse, I will secure the home front and go hunting because y'all, it's been 12 years. It's hard to stay that clean for that long. You understand? If you know, you know. Um, but this idea right here, part of what they're touting as a major feature of these miniature nuclear reactors, apart from the portability and the ease of installation, is that it can be treated kind of like a battery. The nuclear waste in the thing, the nuclear waste that is generated after that eight plus years, apparently, it's all self-contained in the unit. So that basically you have it for 8 or 10 years, and then they change it out like a battery. Now, when I say you have it for 8 or 10 years, this is not a personal home thing. These are, excuse me, these micro reactors are meant for microgrids. So you're talking about installing it to power small towns, right? Where I live, the local population is just barely over 170 people, and that's only because I moved here with a wife and 4 kids. Right? We just pushed the population over 170. Right? The county we live in has a total population of less than 3,000, 2,883. Um, we could power this county just about off of one of these if I'm reading this correctly. So you have it installed for the county, you're powered for 8 to 10 years, and then you just swap it out. Is the plan that they're talking about there? So a moment ago, when I was saying that the technology is behind, the left especially, Democrats especially, have been against nuclear power for a long time. And I got to say, my suspicion is that the real bugaboo is that it's kind of like curing cancer. If the left didn't oppose nuclear power the way that they have and push for band aid solutions like wind and solar, then they'd run out of problems to cry about. Right? The Democrat loves nothing more than creating a problem that they can then refuse to solve. They have to tell you that you have a problem. Abortion is a great example, right? They've been crying for years that, oh, the Republicans are going to take away your abortions. They're going to make you stop murdering your babies, and you should vote Democrat so we can stop. But they haven't done it. Right? They had the authority, the power, the control that they could have codified Roe v. Wade into federal law, and they didn't do it. It's not that they couldn't do it; it's that they don't want to. They don't want to have to stop talking about it. They, for as much as a Democrat loves killing babies, they they love nothing more than pretending to want you to kill your babies. The solar power thing, the wind power thing is kind of the same problem. Solar power on a large scale is expensive and untenable currently. Now, this is doubly true for wind. But take a moment and think about what's happened. Amateurs amateurs in the field have been subsidized toward failure. Solyndra is the obvious prime example, but you look at Germany, they tore it all down because it was costing them a fortune. Um, Sergeant Major says, funny how Obama came to Georgia to push for the completion of our newest nuclear reactor. That's one interesting example. But last year, a bevy of Democratic governors blocked bills for new nuclear plants. And guys, this article is from the Huffington Post, right? Not exactly a bastion of conservative thought here. This is HuffPo. In the last 3 months, the Democratic governors of Illinois and North Carolina have vetoed bills to build new nuclear reactors in their states, warning that doing so would divert money and attention from a strategy of using renewable energy backed up, at least for now, with natural gas. So, you know, Obama was trying to shore up Georgia votes. That the state of Georgia, guys. Let me tell you something. We are very much in play this year. As just as much as it maybe even more so than we were in 2020. Um, Atlanta is one of those blue cancers. You guys that watch often, you've heard me say many times before, there are no red states, or I'm sorry, there are no blue states. There are only red states that have the blue cancer. Um, Georgia's a great example of that. You look at Texas, or even California. California farms and rednecks all up and down the coast, but you got Los Angeles and San Francisco, where they've packed in so many hostile criminal aliens, hostile foreign invaders, that they've got somewhere in the neighborhood of an extra 5 electoral college votes simply because we don't ask the citizenship question on the census. That is the current state of play. But I want you guys to imagine what a world would look like if unburdened by government interference, the technology sector was allowed to develop. Right? Now, when I say unburdened by government interference, I can get behind some rational regulation guidelines. If we want to get our government behind us on saying, hey, no gain of function research, that seems reasonable. Now, I say it seems reasonable, but with the government, you have to be careful about language. Because I can tell you, no gain of function, that sounds like a great idea. Hey, scientist with my money, don't make deadly diseases transferable to humans if they aren't already. Don't do that. But then you get some other schmarmy politician comes in and says, "Well, no. We can't use this. We can't use this magic panacea that we discovered that cures all cancers because you made gain of function illegal, and we would have to do something like gain of function to use it in humans." You know what I meant. That's why we have the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. Sometimes the letter is not sufficient, and it's important to understand what we really meant to mean when we try to articulate the complex concept. Nuclear, I'm having a hard time thinking of a similar example to go with the nuclear stuff other than just weapons. But I mean, we've already got a problem with nuclear weapons, and frankly, the position we're in now because of the fear of the proliferation of nuclear weapons is that we have essentially eschewed the benefits of nuclear technology and development. Right? We could have been the Jetsons by now. Uncle Steve says, "Fellow the money." I think he meant follow the money, but yeah, cui bono? Absolutely. Always ask the question, cui bono? Now, in this case, I think the answer to the question, cui bono, when you're talking about first ever compact nuclear reactor, here, let me let me actually, I'm going to switch up the share, play screen sharing, tab, boom. And I think we should be able to get it. I'm going to play their little video.
The demand for reliable, emission-free energy is growing. Our engineers at Westinghouse.
Okay, now he didn't say the demand for nuclear energy. He said the demand for reliable, emission-free energy. That reliable and emission-free. I mean, what more can you ask for in an energy product, right?
Have been developing a revolutionary reactor technology, leveraging 70 years of innovation and experience as a global nuclear solutions provider. Created with our customers in mind, the eVinci microreactor is transportable and delivers energy and heat exactly where it's needed, with a minimal site footprint, above-ground installation, and seamless integration with existing microgrids and renewables. During operation, heat is transferred
with existing microgrids. So if you've already got your power infrastructure in place, when Third says, ironically, I have a Westinghouse generator. Man, when we bought this house, just a real quick anecdote. When we bought this house, we looked at another one in the other down the other way in Irvington, and it was listed as a 7-bedroom house on 2 acres. I was looking for more acres of that, but 7 bedrooms. We had to go check it out, and it turned out the place wasn't actually a residential house. It was for sale, and it was in a zone where it could be a residential home, but it was actually an old folks home, right? It was hospital rooms with hospital beds. You walk in the front door, and there's an administrative office, and what was obviously meant to be like a waiting room with a TV and all the furniture was still there. I mean, the hospital beds were still in the hospital rooms, and I ain't gonna lie, I almost went ahead and bought it just because it had a commercial fire suppressant system and a Generac generator installed. And I'm not talking about oh no, the lights went out. I hope the turkey doesn't thaw before the electric company fixes it. No, I'm talking about, oh no, the grid went down and we've got patients on respirators. Generac generator. I almost went there, but we got this, and there's all this land out here. That was hard to argue with. So yeah, just cute little aside on the generators.
transferred from the fuel using our heat pipe technology. No water is required for operation or cooling. After generating electricity for 8 years or more,
and not to overlook this, but they actually mentioned that part of this is that you could repurpose the heat. I'm not sure how far that's going to go, but I think there's a lot to be done there.
The entire eVinci microreactor, including its spent fuel, is removed from the site. A simple design functioning like a battery. And today, we are making investments into our technology, into our people, and into our company. We're accelerating.
Okay, that's enough. That last bit there about how it basically functions like a battery insofar as it's essentially a disposable nuclear reactor. That's very interesting to me because it means that you're not at any point, if I understand that correctly, at no point are you exposing the nuclear material to the people around the nuclear material. Now, I suspect, I assume, I hope that there is an even better alternative that we will discover in the future. But government subsidies, government regulations, general political interference, and sociopath activists have gone out of their way to impede technological development, even within the spheres of the companies that are producing the technology they say they're interested in, like wind and solar, right? Because they're so dedicated to pitting that against the oil industry and the coal industry, etc. The development has been stymied by those bizarre and aggravating interventions. When you get the hell out of the way and let the free market do what the free market do, the companies that have to deal with, that have to store or dispose of things like nuclear waste, they figure out what to do with it. Let me give you an example. Imagine the sheetrock that ought to be on these walls after I put some insulation in them. That sheetrock is made out of gyprock. That happens at a plant. That happens at a plant on the Savannah River that my buddy Steve and I did the shutdown rewire on. We tore that place apart. Uh, oh no, that was shit. Steve's not watching. That wasn't even a remodel. It was a remodel, but it was a repurpose. It was a different kind of plant. It was the old International Paper plant, and we gutted it and put in the new equipment so that it could be a gyprock processing plant. They bring the gyprock in on ships. They take it off. The process, right, where they're making the gyprock, produces trash, right? You crush the gyprock and you flatten it out and put it between two sheets of paper, and that's how you make sheetrock. Um, they don't throw that away. They send that trash down the street to a place called Kerr-McGee that makes the chemicals that go into permanent dyeing solutions. So and I mean permanent pigmentation solutions. So everything from the color on this mug to the paint on your car to the little tiny silver lines in your cigarette wrapper is manufactured by a company called Kerr-McGee, and they make a lot of that product. Is it has even I did is we wired up the compressing units and the security cameras, because this was back when everybody was worried that an Arab terrorist was going to break into Kerr-McGee and they were going to break open the titanium tetrachloride tanks and blanket Savannah, Georgia with a cloud of gaseous hydrochloric acid. So we installed the security mechanisms for that. That was a lot of fun. We had alligators in the smoke pit. You take a smoke break, and there's Allie. Okay, be cool, baby. But they take the trash and they process it into this cake. This is incombustible, but they process it into this cake that's used as an additive back down the street at the gyprock plant to make the gypsum rock tougher and more durable for making Durock sheets, right? Stuff like that. Not far down the street from that is Engelhard, where they produce this. It's basically a detergent that's used for it. The place is actually under MSHA rules instead of OSHA rules because the mining safety hazard, because it's technically an oil refinery, because they produce a detergent that's used in oil refining. But we built that place. We remodeled that place, and their runoff, their chemical was made from runoff chemicals from Kerr-McGee, one of the ingredients there, and then their runoff was used in several of the other plants around there. And I mean, Owens Corning was down there, International Paper, Kerr-McGee, Engelhard. We worked on all of those oil refineries and paper mills, and they trade that waste back and forth and repurpose it. I don't see any reason that something similar couldn't be done, even if all you're making is depleted uranium bullets for our servicemen and women. I don't see any reason that the nuclear waste can't be somehow processed. I'm not saying I know how to do it. I'm not even saying that I know what purpose it could be put to, but it's difficult to imagine that it's just impossible to access and process it and conduct the science to figure out, oh, hey, we can use this to make XYZ. So yeah. Sergeant Major says, when the weather gets cooler, let's finish your studio. I'll front the money, and the buy me a coffee can pay for it in the future. Dad, we can talk about that, but I want to. I'm not in too big a hurry to finish out this studio, because this really is meant to be a temporary studio until I build a more permanent one, and I've got some irons in the fire that are going to affect how that project goes forward. So I might take you up on that. We'll see what happens. But right now, the permanent studio could happen in 6 months or it could happen in 2 years, and I'm just not sure yet. So let's put a pin in that one for now. But I do appreciate the offer. That said, let me grab the link. I'll go ahead and drop it for you guys. Every little bit helps. If y'all want to help us, and I'm about to put a pin in this. If y'all do want to help out, you can click the link that I just dropped in the chat there. Buy me a coffee. Wow, that is a lot of white on that screen. Let me close that window because I have blown out. Let's see. Oh, that's much better. My nice ruddy complexion. Sergeant Major says Edward told me spent uranium can be centrifuged, then put back in a reactor. There you go. There you go. That sounds like the very definition of renewable energy right there. So, but yeah, guys, the link right there, https buymeacoffee.com/brushfiremind. $5, $10, we appreciate whatever you can put into it. I don't make my living at this. Okay. I do this show for funsies. It'd be great if suddenly we just went nuclear, super viral, and all of a sudden had all this money coming in for projects and stuff. But to be clear, I want you guys to understand the Buy Me a Coffee link. I'm retired. I'm all right. Everything that goes to the buymeacoffee.com/brushfiremind is for the show, right? I'll use it to put gas in the truck to go out and do interviews with people. I haven't done any interviews in a while. I'm going to start trying to nail down some more interviews, some more interesting characters. If you haven't, those of you who are new to the channel, I did an interview last summer with Jack Barsky, the retired KGB spy who flipped and became an American spy back in the late 80s, and that's on the channel. I believe that one's only over on YouTube. I may have put it on YouTube and Rumble, but go check that out. And I'll be looking to do as many more of those as I can. As many more of those kind of interviews as I can, and they'll come faster and faster once the ball gets rolling. Unverified Bear says research low enrichment reactors are improving too. See, there you go. If we can just get them out of the way, and Trump sounds like he's all for trying to denuclearize weaponry. He's much more concerned about, according to the interview with Elon Musk, he's much more concerned about what he's now calling nuclear warming than global warming, which obviously is a reasonable position to take. But anyway, yeah, I'm doing all right. The money that comes in through the Buy Me a Coffee link, that is used for this, for the show, for funding projects. And in the future, I wanted to fund more of our comedic short film projects, like the SpaghettiOs video or the coffee video, and any of those. And that's what you're spending your money for when you make a contribution at buymeacoffee.com/brushfiremind. You're telling me that, hey, I want you to go do more funny stuff, and we just, every $5 tells me very clearly that you guys never get tired of seeing me throw Cameron onto an old mattress. Which we are careful about now, because the first time Cameron did a pratfall onto an old mattress, he landed, he missed it. He hit the edge of the mattress with the center of his spine and kind of hurt his shoulder. And he got a little gun shy after that. But then we did the SpaghettiOs, which was his idea, his script, and it was awesome. And we just happened to have an old mattress at the time. So yeah, you'll get me up to about $400 or $500. I'll go buy a new mattress, and we'll take the old one and throw Cameron off the deck or something. It'll be great. So thanks for watching this morning, guys. Start talking about nuclear power. That's going to be a big thing during the next Trump administration, I think. And it, I mean, if you want green energy, that's it. That's where it's going to happen. It's not going to happen in solar, and it's not going to happen in wind. They cost too much, right? Within the scope of current technology, they're simply not cost effective by comparison. So, thanks for watching, you guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.